von Andersek welcoming you to Simple Faith, a series of discussions sponsored by Second Eighth Week Ministries. Our panel of apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers will answer your questions about the Second Covenant faith to help you experience the simple faith of Jesus Christ. Our panelists will be answering such questions as, what does it mean to build your faith? How do you do it? What does it mean to touch Jesus? How does that happen? What is the spiritual priesthood? What are the spiritual tools of Jesus' covenant? And much, much more. Our goal is to equip you with easy-to-understand guidelines that you can put to immediate practice as you study the courses offered by Second Eighth Week Ministries. May God bless you as you begin this journey of covenant faith that Jesus made simple for us.
Abraham was a man of covenant. He received deliverances. Peter and Paul were men of covenant. They received their experiences. Some were delivered and some weren't delivered, like Antipas. Antipas was a man of faith, but he was martyred there in Pergamos. And his martyrdom was a result of those which were embracing Jewish tradition and mingling Jewish tradition with Christian faith. The doctrine of Nicolaitans was present. And they look at the Antipas as being one that was anti-Semitic against Jews. He says, no, I'm not against the people or race. It's the philosophy that they embraced is now unsanctified. If you embrace that unsanctified faith, you're going to, again, have God's wrath against you. Just like history itself is borne out to us of the scattering of Babylon and to Babylon and the smiting of the Romans. And it says, doesn't history itself teach you that if you don't embrace the covenant, you're going to be children of wrath? Well, it's going to happen again. Go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, verse 11. And the Lord shall deliver it into your hand, into the hand of the king. Well, that didn't happen. And the messenger that went to call Micaiah spoke to him, saying, behold, the words of the prophets, the false prophetic movement, of course, they declared good to the king with one assent. See, they looked at that unity of one assent as being God sanctified. That's not always true. Okay, there's many people that agree about things. Jehovah's Witnesses have a great boasting in regarding that. They're all speaking by one voice and one spirit. Okay, of course that's the spirit of Charles Russell. Okay, the Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, and their prophets have been wrong on numerous occasions in regarding the establishment of the millennial reign of Christ. They're still looking for the millennial reign of Christ. Behold, the words of the prophets declared good to the king with one assent. And that's a false unity. And the Lord said through the prophet Isaiah, they gather together, but not by me. They gather together, but not by me. Their gathering together is not for my sanctification. So it's called the assembly of the wicked, or the congregation of the wicked. So let your word be like theirs, and speak you good. Let your words carry with it an equity of deliverance. Micaiah said, as the Lord liveth, even what my God says, that will I speak. Of course, he did stand to that. And Micaiah being a true prophet of God. But you notice what happened here. Now when he was come to the king said unto Micaiah, shall we go to Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear? And at this point Micaiah said, go up. Go you up and prosper, and they shall be delivered in your hand. What's interesting is that there was a particular message that I got on Facebook by this guy who was a Muslim. And he's very zealous. That the Muslims are now trying to prove that the Christians have embraced corrupt copies of ancient texts, and that Islam is the one that has really kept a true tradition for the last 600 years. Okay, so I responded to this particular guy here, and I told him, I says, the discrepancies that exist right now between all the three major religions will be properly and immediately resolved when the Mahdi and the Christ arise, and they will give to us the truth that we must embrace. Now, this is exactly what Micaiah was telling to the king. Okay? If you want a lie, I'm going to give you one. But don't oppress me with your lies. So that's what I told him. Now Micaiah here was doing the same thing to the king. It was a lying spirit. But the lying spirit, okay, which Micaiah was speaking was in truth. Okay, it was in truth. God did indeed say that. But it had to do with this point right here. Separation for perfection. A tearing for sanctification. God had to do the smiting in order to preserve Jehoshaphat, from Ahab's influence. And of course, the Muslims right now the closeness of it to them is so evident, and it's a confirmation also of the closeness of the rapture, because Mahdi will come up out of the abyss there, of course, after the rapture of the church, and after the opening of the tribulation, and when the demon locusts are released, that's when he will rise out of there. But he was not going to come out because of the zeal of the Iranian government. He's not going to come out of that. He's going to come out when God says come out. And then he's going to go back in there when God says go back in there. So he says, go up, prosper, and they shall be delivered into your hand. And then, of course, the king perceived at this point that he was chiding with him. The king, of course, Ahab said to him, how many times shall I adjure you that you say nothing but the truth to me in the name of the Lord? Well, if you want to really know, I'll tell you. Then he said, I did see all Israel scattered. And this is what God is doing today. He is scattering Israel. He's breaking the watermelons. He's releasing the seas, and few there be that will be saved. But they're going to hear. The whole world is going to hear. The internet is actually the gate of the city. And it's allowing us to have a voice where, in other words, you will never even have the opportunity. 10, 20 years ago, the pastor would stand at the door, and he would not let anybody in that sanctuary who he felt would be a threat or an influence to those people. And I know that. I talked to the pastors. And I even told them I'm not interested in the pulpit. The only thing I'm interested in is assisting them and helping them understand what God is about to do. And that is to bring about this change. And that's concerning the establishment of government in the church. So Micaiah, he says, I did see all Israel scattered upon the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd. There is really no true stewardship over these people. But yet they had 400 prophets. They were false stewards. He says, so I did see all Israel. In other words, the gospel which Ahab was preaching and the revelations which the false prophets were giving to them was not preserving Israel. It was putting them in a state of spoilage. And so God, he revealed to Micaiah, there has to be a ripping and a smiting in order to be a releasing and a preserving. So then he said, I did see all Israel scattered upon the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd. And that's exactly what Jesus said. The Pharisees were false stewards. They had knowledge, but they weren't bringing people in the covenant. They had the knowledge, but they were using the key for the purpose of building the aspirations of their denomination, as we see in the false religious system today. So the Lord says, okay, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to start busting open a lot of watermelons. And the Lord, of course, gave a sign on that, didn't he? He had the exploding watermelons in China. So the churches that were professing Jesus as their Lord, but we're not in covenant with God yet, we're now being smitten all over the world. All of a sudden, churches are being burned. The laws regarding Christian faith are being changed. And Christians from all over the world are now fleeing from the lands. Even whole nations are being split. What is God doing? Well, I know what God is doing. He's giving these people their last chance. This is the last call. If you don't come in covenant now, you are going to face a big tribulation. The worst tribulation you've ever seen. And I'm going to give you a little taste of it here and a little taste of it there. From eruption of volcanoes to little mini tsunamis. Well, when I say mini tsunamis, they're just little babies. And regarding the big splash that's going to happen yet when the asteroid hits the Pacific Rim. So then he said, I did see all Israel scattered upon the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd. And the Lord said, these have no master. But they had Ahab. They had 400 prophets. They even had the Jezebel Institute of Theology. They have no master. Let them return, therefore, every man to his house in peace. Now, this was a counsel given by Micaiah. I says, if you want to really survive at this point, if you want to spare your life, don't go. But what happened here? And so the king of Israel then said to Jehoshaphat, did I not tell you that he will not prophesy good unto me, but only evil? And this is what's happening on Facebook. We are giving them the truth, but they're looking at the truth as evil. They're saying, this is bitter. I don't like this. This is their last chance. If they hear, then they'll be saved. If they forbear, they have sealed themselves to a judgment. Now, they're going to follow Ahab and the false prophets. In verse 22, okay, now therefore, behold, He says, if you really want to be delivered, you're going to have to listen to what I'm saying. Behold, the Lord has put a lying spirit in the mouth of these 400 prophets of yours. And the Lord has spoken evil against you. And God has determined for your destruction. Now, Ahab and Jehoshaphat, they did not see anything. The prophets that were standing there, they did not see anything. The only person that saw anything happen here was Micaiah. Micaiah is the only one that saw this vision. Nobody else saw this. So Micaiah, when he was standing there, looked like a madman. He looked like he was a crazy man, like he was really out of step with reality. But Ahab looked at himself as being a champion of the promises, that he was truly embracing the traditions of his fathers. And in a sense he was, because they were offering sacrifices, but not in a sanctified place. He looked at his activities as being completely justified. Abraham didn't have to go to Jerusalem to do this, and so we're not going to go to Jerusalem. Jacob didn't do it there in Jerusalem, so we don't have to do it. Right? Ahab completely justified himself, and his false prophets also justified him. And Jezebel looked at the same thing. Okay, you people are exclusive. You say that only in Jerusalem is the place where you ought to worship. But we are keeping in with true rhythm of our father's faith. And God spoke to Abraham. But you people became exclusive because of the house of David, and you excluded us. You didn't want us in there. Okay, so therefore, Jeroboam, he heard from the Lord, and he made these calves over here. Okay, so we're in keeping of the true tradition. We are offering the blood of the ox, which our father Abraham offered. So therefore, we're in keeping a true tradition. But you're not in rhythm with a covenant. And we see the false religious system in the same mindset today. They truly believe that they're keeping a true tradition of history to some manner degree, yes, but not in covenant, no. They have a frame, but they don't have a focus of covenant. There's similarities, but the similarities possess different likenesses. Similarities possess different likenesses. Putting two Adamites next to each other, a Cain and an Abel. Similar in face, but different philosophy. You have the Ishmaels and the Isaacs. Similar in face, same father, but different philosophies. Then you have the Esau's and the Jacobs. Similar face, in fact they were twins, but different in philosophies. And so the Lord's teaching us, and here in the division of Israel, between Judah and Israel, similar face, same father, and they even spoke with the same tongue, but one was with covenant, and the other one wasn't with covenant. Jehoshaphat was a man of faith, okay, but Ahab was not a man of faith. Both of them were of Israel, okay, but there was a division there, wasn't there? Philosophical division.